Media practitioners and organizations questioning the whereabouts of supposed laptops procured and given to the media by the government of the Republic of Ghana.
I don't know. I mean, those are questions that are still being asked. I think the GJA today asked questions also. The Giba also is asking questions. I think bottom line, we need transparency.
To be honest, I don't know what it is, this fixation with laptops.
I don't know who got them, and last year those of us who won GGI awards were told we got some uhurus, but I cannot tell whether those uhurus were from this media fund or whatever.
One other issue that pops up is where is this 1 million Ghana cedi media development fund which was pledged by government in 2011, especially when the Minister of Information and Media Relations, Mahama Yariga, on the floor of Parliament yesterday was emphatic that it procured some laptops from this fund. We're seeking answers, and this is today's big story. My name is Bright Nanamfo, and thanks so much for staying there. On September 9, 2011, then Vice President and now President John Mahama announced the government's plans to set up a media development fund while addressing the 16th Ghana Journalists Association Awards as a guest of honor. Now, following that announcement, the then Finance Minister, Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, in his presentation of the 2012 budget to Parliament, announced that 1 million Ghana cedi has been allocated to the fund. Subsequently, in March 2012, Mr. Okudzeto Ablakwa, who was then a Deputy Minister of Information, announced that the 1 million Ghana cedi Media Development Fund was ready and would be operational in the second quarter of 2012. A year on, and the media cannot access that fund.
I think that I'm surprised that this concerns the media, and the media is quiet, about it. I think if for nothing at all, we should be the first people to demand that we want to know, we should have transparency over this issue. If we all know the fund is sitting down because of A, B, C, D, then we put pressure on the points that are supposed to move to ensure that the funds are utilized. But at this stage, there is no information. You talk to the NMC says as far as they are concerned, the fund hasn't become operational. They've had engagement with the ministry on several occasions. The ministry is not forthcoming. The GJA says, well, as far as we are concerned, the funds have not been operational. And somebody tells you, well, but there were some laptops to the GJA, to the Primpag, and to GNA, and we think that was part of the disbursement from the Media Development Fund. And so I think that it's important that the Ministry of Information tell us clearly what is happening.
The Executive Secretary of Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association is denying that that particular association has received any of the laptops. He's joined me in the studio. Mr. Gerard Anko, welcome to today's big story. You have not received any laptops at all?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not a single.
The Minister of Information and Media Relations has confirmed on the floor of Parliament that government used part of that money to procure laptops for journalists. Your association has not received any of the laptops.
We have not received any, offer, much more to accept. And as we are talking today, I am telling you emphatically that Giba has not received a single laptop. We've not even had any offer whatsoever. So find out where the laptops are.
The 1 million Media Development Fund, what does Giba know about it?
Well, what we know was that there was a letter, communication from the minister asking some organizations, including Giba, to send representatives to form for the formation of a management committee of the Media Development Fund. Now, even before that management committee could be formed, there was a letter from the National Media Commission indicating that that instruction was unconstitutional. Because
the instruction to form a committee to manage
the media
fund
was unconstitutional. And for that reason, there wasn't a single meeting of that management committee, so far as we know. So whoever decided on what, on the disbursement of the fund, is only known to the minister.
And Giba has no idea at all.
Giba does not have any idea whatsoever.
Now, prior to this issue of NMC suggesting that the committee was unconstitutional, how involved was Giba in this media development fund?
Now, let me take you back.
Right.
Immediately after, just after the current minister took office, that's the Minister of Information and Media Relations, took office somewhere in March, he invited Giba, I remember the GJA, Primpag, a rep from the AUCC, and as well, I think, GIMPA.
Right.
On ways to, various ways of developing the media in the country. It was just a brainstorming meeting. I think there were 2 meetings that were held. After that, nothing else happened. So to come to hear again, then along the line, after the March meetings, somewhere on April 10th, 2013, my attention was called to publications in the Daily Graphic and the Daily Guide to the effect that some consignments of laptops have been, distributed, Giba inclusive. And I said, no, I started receiving calls here and there, and I wasn't too comfortable. So we had to come out with a press statement or press release that same day, denying receiving any laptops whatsoever. So I'm again taken aback when this morning my attention was called to the effect that another statement, a statement had been made to a much bigger body, that is Parliament, on Giba receiving a consignment. And I think we have to take this very seriously.
Let me go to Parliament. As now, Harold Kobina is on the Communication Committee of Parliament. He actually chairs that committee. Thanks so much for joining us, Mr. Kobina.
Yeah, good evening.
Right. Now, first of all, can you confirm that the Minister of Information and Media Relations actually told Parliament that government from the 1 million Media Development Fund procured some laptops for journalists?
Yeah, actually what the minister said was that the utilization of 2012 fund, the associations of media houses approached him on this issue and demanded that they needed some items which they themselves preferred. That was why he made a statement, not saying that all of them. He said media houses, some media houses. Yeah.
So the minister was trying to explain where the 1 million city media development fund, what it has been used for.
Yeah, that was how you explained it. Yeah.
How did he explain? What had the money been used for, according to the minister?
He said the association of the media houses approached him at his office and they demanded certain facilities that the ministry was supposed to supply them. And that's the only source of revenue at that time was the media fund. So they decided what they want to use this money for. And after they've come to a conclusion, he allowed them to make their own expenditures and then they bought the items.
So, in effect, but he did not go ahead to tell you exactly, or tell Parliament exactly what went into the items bought, and perhaps if all the 1 million cedis went into the acquisition of the items.
But that was why he said to explain on a bit of the information that we had in Parliament. And I'll be pleased if the minister is around, if you can find time, and then perhaps seek clearance from him.
And so that is all the information you can give us as far as this particular issue of laptops or the media Development Fund is concerned?
Yes, please.
Thank you so much for speaking to me. Harold Kobina chairs the Communication Committee of Parliament. And so that is what the Minister told Parliament. We tried hard to speak to the Minister of Information and Media Relations as to exactly what he told Parliament about that 1 million media development. But Gerard is still here. He's Executive Secretary of the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association. But I wanted us to go back to this Media Development Fund. Now, it's been a year on, and yet we are unable to find out where the money is, what it has been used for. Has the media benefited from where you sit? This 1 million development fund, is the media not interested?
Now, I guess that's quite a big question. Now, a big question in the sense that the media will definitely need the Media Development Fund.
Right.
But I guess it's something that all the groups, making up the media should sit down to determine what it should be used for. Particularly, and also we are talking about the governance of that fund.
Right.
Currently, there is some banter going on between the National Media Commission and the Minister of Information. So but that's not our remit here.
Right.
What our remit here is that, did we actually determine that the whole fund must be expended on laptops? And from where I sit, I am saying Giba did not. I emphatically state that Giba did not take any part in any decisions concerning the use of the fund.
Does it suggest that the media fraternity, made up of the various, if I should call them, the various, let's just refer to them as branches, are not interested in picking this money? Because it has taken 1 year for the minister to go to Parliament and they say that I have used the money for this and that. We as the media will not be able to say that we have gone in to take this and that. We certainly do not seem to be interested in finding out where this money is.
No, I think the interest is still there. But if I may refer us back again to the April 10th statement, it was indicated that GJA, Primpag, and I think even Giba and then GNA had consignments. And I'm sure some of our sister organizations actually went for some laptops. But again, on our press release that day, we indicated specifically that we have not had any offer. We don't know anything about any, and we are not interested. Because, and we indicated that in our press release, because our priorities as Giba or electronic media broadcasters
it's not laptop. So then it comes back to the reason for setting up the fund. It's a media development fund.
Right.
And procuring laptops for journalists. From the point of view of Giba, it does not fall within anywhere among your priorities.
No, at all. Not at all. It does not. Because even in our informal discussions prior to that statement that came out, we even said the most important thing for us is the continuous training of media practitioners. Continuous training so they know. I mean, we keep updating them on what is going on in the electronic media or media generally, development of media in the country.
Right.
And then gradually we'll get there. So we were actually a bit surprised that the whole fund has been expended on
laptops. I'll come back for us to look at what the minister said exactly in Parliament. But the president of the Ghana Journalists Association is also worried about the management of the fund. Let's listen to what he said.
We met over it at the State House, at the Accra International Conference Center. We couldn't reach an agreement on how the fund was going to be disbursed, the criteria to be used to disburse the fund, and the trustee, a committee or a trustee to see to the disbursement of the fund. As far as the GG is concerned, we have not yet scaled this hurdle. So this is stalling the disbursement of the fund. So until we reach a consensual framework within which to operate this fund, we believe that the right thing ought to be done. We believe that until such an agreement is reached on how best to ensure the transparency and accountability of this fund, we believe that things should be left as they are, because we don't want questions to be raised. We don't want our names to be sullied about any out of my offices. And as we've said, and it's best repeating, that what is worth doing is worth doing well.
That's the president of the GJA now talking about the fact that a lot needed to be done before we can actually disburse this fund. But does it then suggest that, well, after a whole year, if we cannot agree on how to disburse the funds, then the ministry should find a way of disbursing the funds for us?
I don't think they should. The issue between...
The fund is there.
The fund is there.
Year.
The money is not going anywhere.
We are deliberating on how to disburse it.
This shouldn't take even, let's say, a whole week to solve between the Ministry of Information and National Media Commission. So I guess this is an issue between two constitutionally mandated bodies.
Right.
And we, as practitioners, do not get there. If this had been resolved within a matter of days, I'm sure we would have had various or better ways of disbursing this fund. But if it was because the trustees or the management committee was not formed, and for that reason the money must be spent, I guess the reason for spending it is far-fetched.
Who should manage this fund? We're told about the state managing the fund. Who should manage the fund?
I believe that the National Media Commission stands in better stead
to manage the
funds, considering the composition of the commission. You know, it's got representations all over. The Ministry of Information is a government mouthpiece and should not be seen to be, handling this for it to look like, it is influencing the media. And for that reason, that is why majority of us felt the National Media Commission is the utmost body to handle this.
And so you even think that the Ministry of Information going out to use part of the fund to procure laptops is absolutely wrong.
I guess it's absolutely wrong. And this could have been, we wouldn't have gotten to this level if at least a phone call or a discussion with the chairman of the National Media Commission has even gone on between the two heads. We wouldn't have reached this far.
I'll come back for us to talk about where we have to go from where we are. But some media practitioners have been talking about this particular issue. How should this fund be dispersed? Where should media men go from here on this particular 1 million media development fund? Let's watch.
Expectation is that the fund will be used for capacity building. For me, I think that's the biggest challenge facing journalists in Ghana, is the capacity to understand issues, to be able to interrogate the issues properly. Because if you want to compete with the rest of the world when it comes to the media landscape, you need people who are absolutely on top of their game. Because the CNNs and the BBCs are not where they are by employing interns and diploma holders. They are where they are because they employ professionals, law professionals, people in other fields who have achieved a lot, to bring them in to come and host shows. So that's where the quality comes from. And for me, that's where I think they should put the money.
Obviously, for every journalist, the issue about training is really a very important thing. And therefore, if there is any fund, the first thing people will be looking at is how can we improve the standards of the profession. Whether this fund will go into some training, will go to some training institutions to see how those who are in the profession can go out there or go into these institutions and upgrade their skills to improve upon what we report to the public. So obviously, I think that anybody who heard about this news about this fund will be, well, good news, and therefore the professional standards will obviously be improved. So
for instance, we can say that the Ghana Journalists Association every year gets a certain quota, so that a certain number of journalists cut across that are selected from all over the country, are given refresher courses. It could be within the continent, it could be outside of the continent, so that it enriches their experience, so that it comes to better the lot and the variety in terms of the practice, or the variety in terms of the areas of journalism in which to which we branch.
If you go to the press center now, 2 years ago, Club Beer came to erect a pavilion where journalists can sit and then work. When you go there now, everything is broken down. There are no chairs, nothing is happening there. And the press center exists in a name. So I would have expected this money to be used to develop that place into an ultra-modern center. So as a journalist, if I'm not in the office or if I go to cover an assignment at the press center, I can just find somewhere, sit down, file my story, even before coming to the office. But when you go there now, nothing is there. The internet facility sometimes extremely slow, or it doesn't even work at all.
I think it's important that a body that is agreeable to all the interest groups involved is set up and allowed to decide how the fund is accessed and how the fund is disbursed. I think this back and forth about whether it should be the Ministry of Information or whether it should be the National Media Commission and all that is totally unnecessary. I think we must all agree as interest groups that there must be a body. We all have representation, depending on which interest group and all that. Then we know what the criteria is for the fund to be accessed, and then we also know when the funds are disbursed, and then there's accountability. The media cannot demand accountability from other people if they themselves are not willing to be accountable. So let's put structures in place that will make that possible, and at the same time give the opportunity for each and every one of us to develop. There are people in the media who need the funds more than others do. Let's identify those people so that we can improve the standard of our media in Ghana.
Some multimedia journalists talking about the way forward for that fund, but Gerard is still here. Gerard, now let's begin to wrap up this conversation. Where we find ourselves, Giba, Primpark, GJA, NMC, the Minister of Information, in this whole cycle, how do we get to a point where we can say that this is where we want to go and this is how we want to do it?
I think it's very simple. Look, we have representations, as I said, at the National Media Commission. And for that reason, if this whole thing is sent to the National Media Commission, it settles everything. We don't need to set up a parallel body aside the National Media Commission in handling issues pertaining to the capacity building of the media in the country. That is the remit of the National Media Commission, and they must be empowered to handle this. And
just before we go, let us listen to what, again, these media personnel are talking about, the issue of transparency, perhaps, in the management of this fund.
Well, I'm aware some time ago, I heard GGA got some of these laptops. I don't know who got them, and last year, those of us who won GGA were told we got some uhurus, but I cannot tell whether those uhurus were from this media fund or whatever. So I cannot tell exactly where those laptops have been taken to.
To be honest, I don't know what it is, this fixation with laptops. There are lots of people who don't work in the media who are not there are lots of people who don't work in them, people who are doing all sorts of things. They are able to afford laptops. I don't think that's what the media needs. I think what the media needs is to be structured in terms of the training, in terms of where the funds should go to. For instance, the Ghana Journalists Association, we have our secretariat. What kind of technological structures do we have there so that when we are covering elections or whatever, that you can go there and be sure that, yes, this is comparable to any standard anywhere else in the world? It's for development. So let's channel the resources into areas which will also advance media development so that we can see a spill-on effect. I think that's what is most important. I don't think laptops are going to do that.
I don't know. I mean, those are questions that are still being asked. I think the GJA today asked questions also. The Giba also is asking questions. I think bottom line, we need transparency. So government needs to be more careful in putting out information broken down that can be verified. I think that's what we need, because other than that, it will become another scandal. Scandals fueled by lack of information more than anything else. So if they have indeed spent money, if the fund was operational, you didn't tell us. They should tell us. Why didn't you tell us? Where's the transparency? What do you use it on? How many laptops? They've mentioned how many laptops. The question is about whether all the money, I'm told it's 1 million CDs or so, was indeed spent on the laptops, or other monies went somewhere else, etc. So those are questions that need to be asked. Bottom line, we need transparency.
Maybe then that earlier announcement didn't come, because I remember the last time I heard about from the minister, we got the understanding that the seed money or the fund is not operational because the necessary funds, quote unquote, hasn't come in yet. So maybe over the past 2 weeks, something has come in and they went ahead to purchase these laptops. But again, everybody would have thought that the minister would have come out to announce that now the money is in. These are the trustees of this fund. This is how you can access or get support from this fund. It would have been nice, well, but if that is what they are saying, quite interesting.
Yes, the best thing to do is to leave the fund to the journalist. If you allocate money to, let's say, a particular ministry or a particular agency, the central government does not keep the money and then disperse it. So if you are giving this money to the media, I think a body made up of the Media Commission, GGA, Giba, and Primpack, all of those media-related institutions should come together and manage this fund. But if you leave it in the hands of government, every government has their own favorite media houses and journalists, so it may end up being used to promote a particular cause.
In the second part of today's big story, we'll be telling you, we'll be pursuing how the media can trace the whereabouts of this particular fund. But let me wrap up with Gerard. Gerard, now, in wrapping up this conversation, now, the minister has told Parliament some money has been disbursed from the fund. Now, how should Parliament react to this, and how should the media also react to what the minister told Parliament?
I think, top of my head, Parliament must ask more probing questions. And Giba, as a body, we are ready to appear before any committee or Parliament itself, if the need, should the need arise, because our name is been quoted, and therefore we have to prove whether there is anything that we received or we did not. So we are ready to appear before Parliament if we are summoned.
Thanks so much for speaking to me.
Welcome.
Gerard Ankra is the Executive Secretary to the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, and he's been talking about the 1 million Ghana Cedi Media Development Fund. The second part, that interactive segment, will delve deeper into this. How should we pursue where to locate the 1 million Cedi Ghana Development Fund? My name is Bright Nanafo. This ends the first part of today's big story. Lady Marianne is joining me, and we're getting into the second segment. Stay there. I'm coming back in a moment. Where is that money? This is the interactive segment, and Marianne has joined me. Have you received any of the funds so far?
Nope.
Not yet? Any other laptops?
Not at all.
Okay. We'll see what exactly where that particular
Why are you surprised? Is. Have you received
No, I'm not surprised.
The minister said the same media house, so perhaps if it has come, it would be shared amongst us. And I haven't received it. Have you?
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
We definitely have to talk about
that is what is trending.
That is what is trending. All the stories on social
platforms.
media, it's all about that. And lots of journalists have also been talking about it because, hey, if we are here and the minister is saying something different on the floor of Parliament and we don't know about it, the associations that are supposed to be in the loop are out of the loop. How do we bring them back into the loop?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. This is JN Interactive. My name is Marianne Toure. So welcome to the show. First, I'd like to announce all the social media tools that you need to get in touch with the show. You'll find us facebook.com/joynews-on-tv. Like our page, comment on every post we put there, and we will amplify your voice and share it with the rest of the world. We tweet at joynews-on-tv, and remember to use the hashtag GNInteractiveGH, so we'll be able to sort them out and take them all at once. If you're sending us an email, the address will be joynewsim@mototvworld.com, and the WhatsApp number is 0260-518-801. I am on Twitter too, and I tweet at MN Toure. And as always, GN Interactive is where tech meets news to set the agenda. So today, everything has come to a head, and we are talking about our own profession and the stories that are trending on social media. I am hoping that at least they will be mirrored so you can also see what we are talking about. And this one is on myjoyonline.com. GJA got only 100 laptops from 1 million Ghana Cedi Media Development Fund, and the story continues there that, only 100 laptops were given out of that 1 million. Questions have been raised by the media organizations about the whereabouts of the rest of the money which was pledged by government in 2011. But the Minister of Information and Media Relations, Mahama Yarga, in answering a question on the issue on the floor of Parliament Wednesday, said government was still liaising with the various stakeholders to find the right modalities to disburse the fund. So we're asking so many questions. If the modalities have not been set yet, why is it that it's even been possible for 100 laptops to be bought out of the fund? And still stories that are also trending, and this one is on Radio XYZ online. DJA laptops from Media Fund must be probed, and that is what Media Foundation for West Africa is saying. They are calling for a probe into it, but we also when they appear, we would ask them, because I'm hoping that we have called Suleiman Barima, and if he doesn't appear, we'll try to reach him on phone anyway, to ask that there have been several probes we have all come to know and understand that the probes, they never go anywhere. So could we find any other solution to this than probing? Will there be another committee to investigate the committee and probe the probers? Do we need all of this at this particular moment in time? So if you're joining us, those are the stories that are trending on social media. And we're asking so many questions. So, we've gone out there. We are asking about reactions, about the revelations on how the fund is being used, and what do we as journalists even need the fund to be used, and how do we even want the fund to be used, and why aren't we the media? Well, this is a question that the Media Foundation for West Africa has put out, and we are asking our own selves, why aren't we championing our own cause? So let's go. We've been speaking to some media professionals. Let's go and take our first video blog, and this one is their reactions about the revelations on how the fund has been used so far. We'll go and take our first video blog.
For now, those are just speculations or rumors, hearsays that some persons are being helped on the quiet. We can't substantiate that, and so I wouldn't want to say anything for now, because we'll just treat them as the speculations they are. But hopefully when the government speaks to the issue on where the fund is, I'm sure we'll take it from there.
I haven't seen much of the media fund. I think government should come clear, spell it out, the objective of the media fund, and it should be implemented as such. We have issues with implementation, at least for once. We should see this coming to fruition. We should see this materializing in its real sense than just having the name media fund and not serving the purpose.
What I know is that part of it was used to purchase laptops for award winners. I'm against the idea, because that is not the impression I got from the former president, the late President Atamels, when the fund was established. I think that it should be transparent. The Information Ministry should make all the stakeholders who have been announced or agreed to be part of the board have access to the money and be sure that it is used for its purpose. But because they are not forthcoming with information, we can only speculate that they are using the money quietly to support maybe cronies of the party or people who are close to government, or maybe friendly media houses. Apart from that, maybe we can only hang on and wait for a proper accounting process to show us that this is the money and that is what is left for us.
And those reactions from some of my colleagues about how, the revelations about the fund so far. We'll go and take our next video blog. And we've been asking what you want as journalists, for the fund to be used for. What do we need? We are asking my own colleagues, us within the media, what do we even want the fund to be used for? The modalities have not been set yet, but they think that we need laptops, and so they have made provision for 100 laptops. So far, apparently there were 900 and something. The rest of of the 800, we don't even know where they are right now, so we won't even be talking about it. But what do we ourselves want that fund to be used for? We'll go and take our next video blog. We'll take some more comments, and then I have Gerald Ankra standing by so that he can, enlighten us about the entire fund.
What I think the fund must be used for is, one, for the purpose it is set up for. I didn't understand why we should access part of that money to award a journalist when GJA has been going around the country raising funds from sponsorships and maybe corporate organizations to support them. So if that money is there for training, for capacity building, I wouldn't like it for us to see monies being used to present to people as gifts. We must see the money yielding a purpose, and that is only through capacity building or supporting media houses which are handicapped, or helping to organize platforms for discussions that will make sure we improve on the industry. I think the measures are already out. It has been clearly spelled out. But what is holding the money is about who must be in charge of disbursement. Because what is it? If 1 million cedis is sitting there and they say that let it be competitive, develop a project, come defend it, and let's give you access to the money. Or you want to go to school, let go through the process, let your media organization endorse that. When you finish, you come back to help the industry. It's just like any other loan or grant or bursary that we all apply for. These things are straitjacket guidelines. If you breach it, you are sanctioned. So it should not be too difficult for anybody to give reasons why the money cannot be disbursed. So for me, all those excuses are unacceptable.
Journalists need sponsorship. We need sponsorship in terms of education. We need to educate ourselves. Sometimes the passion is there, but how to further your education, how to acquire more knowledge becomes a problem. So one way they can look at it is to sponsor journalists in their education, their field of endeavor.
So welcome back. This is what my colleagues have been talking about. We'll go to social media now and take some of your comments that have been coming through. And we're trying frantically to reach Mr. Afril Money and also Suleiman Brahima, who is with the Media Foundation for West Africa. And then Gerald Ankra is also standing by. So I'll take some comments that I've been dropping in on Facebook. And the whole precursor is there right now. The question is, what we are asking you as the audience is that what do you think are the shortcomings of journalists and how would you want these to be addressed? So many comments have dropped in, 37 comments in the last few minutes. It is amazing indeed that you are actually taking part. And Abadi Frank Hartman says, this is total confusion and the spewing of either truth or lies that cannot easily be understood because many parties are involved. A thorough investigation should be carried out to get to the root of this miscommunication or faux pas. Even though the Ghanaian journalist is ill-equipped and under-resourced, I doubt if laptops are a major priority for the media. Can't we, as a nation, think outside of the box for once when it comes to the implementation of the policies and ideas about Ghana? And the committee, when it comes to simple thinking, one chair, near Republic. Wow. Gilbert's asylum from Bolgatanga. Giba is denying receipt of the money. So who is now saying the truth? I have Giba here. Giba would answer that. If GJA has identified laptops as pressing needs and government has provided them, I think stakeholders should always make it clear for other media organizations to understand. Baba Musa Tamale, I felt sad after listening to Giba's representative who spoke on a sister media platform this evening. Indeed, it is not true that members of Giba do not need a free laptops from government. A lot of media houses here up north need the laptops badly, so the Minister of Information must do well to extend the distribution of the laptops to the northern sector media houses. For me, the decision by government to set aside some funds to help the media in Ghana to grow is very excellent and must be commended. If there are problems with the distribution, politicizing the whole package will not be the best thing to do. GJA must sit with government to identify the problem and find a solution to that period. But some of these unfair accusations of government, Umar just says, Mario Perez Tamale monitoring should be entrenched. Otherwise, these things will continue to happen. Newton Jeffert, this is simple. Set up a committee to investigate how the laptops were distributed or how the money is being spent. Domako Job, hey, Ghana, when will all these lies cease? God save us. Adnan Abdullahi, shortcomings. Well, I think dwindling budgets, constant staff reductions and competition from entirely internet-based websites have helped to increase many journalists' work-related stress levels. Many journalists working for newspapers and news magazines, for example, spend more hours at work and less time with family. Just about a week ago, I heard Manasseh Zori complaining of having to work for a whole week. So, remuneration that would commiserate the roles journalists play in the country wouldn't be too much to ask. I think you're a prophet. I agree with you on this particular one, that we are actually putting in a lot. We're breaking our backs for God and for country, so a little bit more compensation will not be bad. So if there are any authorities who are listening, perhaps government would want to set up a fund for us also, to set up a fund for, giving us, topping up our salaries because we're working for God and country. But welcome back. I have Gerald Ankro here, and he is with Giba. Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good, good.
People are upset.
Yes, it should be.
Rightly so?
Rightly so, rightly so.
Okay, but this whole communication problem, please. I know you spoke to Nana Brighton about it, but for JN Interactive, my audience would like education on this fund. Why was the fund set up, and what was it supposed to be used for?
Well, the fund was set up, so far as I know, this was a provision in the broadcasting bill that was suggested to, and now in the domain of the Ministry of Information and Media Relations. After that, I think they used it, picked that portion of the bill, and then I think argued their issues out, so they had a budgetary allocation for that.
Okay.
Now, but then they have not come out with the mode of disbursing or managing the fund, and that is where the whole issue is.
Okay.
Now, when you come to the various media associations that we have, PREPA, GJA, Giba, though some needs in cut across both, there are cross-cutting issues. Some are peculiar to certain associations.
Right.
And for that reason, that's where we indicated as Giba that our priority then, when the issue was discussed, was not on laptops. We would have preferred something else for our members than laptops. Well, in the case of other media associations like GJ, Primpag, and the rest, they felt maybe they needed it. But as we are talking now, we have not received it, and we expected the minister at least not to have included the name of Giba in addressing Parliament.
Right. I mean, based on the comments that I have received from my audience, and I listen to them a lot because the show is about them.
Sure.
Some from the northern region are saying, well, if you think you live in the city here in Accra, you don't need the laptops. We in the rural areas, we need the laptops. And so I'm wondering, does Giba actually take into consideration the needs of those outside of these big cities?
Giba cuts across the length and breadth of this country. We have members in the upper west, upper east, right down to the south.
Okay.
Our radio and TV members cut across. So we cater for all the needs. But if you listen, I said that the needs of our members cut across all three associations. So definitely, if GJ went for some laptops, they then will determine how or where the laptops will go.
Okay.
Since we have not, Giba cannot say that we would have about 20 or 30 going to the upper east, upper west, or wherever. So I would say that yes, the need for laptops are there, but then the proper thing must be done, and then we all have our peace of mind.
But what was the level of communication that took place between or amongst all these parties? Because before this was actually brought in.
Now, let me say this. I believe that there was some earlier communication between the GJA and the minister.
Okay.
Top of my head, I know that at a point that I think 2 years ago that the GJA organized their GJA Awards, their main sponsor, MTN, pulled out.
Right.
And then they were hard-pressed with prizes for the award winners. And so I think there was a representation one way or the other from GJA to the minister to help, calm down the tensions then, simmering amongst the award winners. And so something was done for them. But the bulk of the laptops, to be honest with you, I don't know where they went. So I don't know whether Primpack had 90 million or 1 city. I don't know.
So if I'm gathering from what you're saying, the first batch that we're even talking about now would have had to go to the winners of the GG Awards. That was not this year, last year.
Last year, I guess.
As compensation for not receiving your award.
Yes.
Okay. We have some more video blogs. I'll pause with you now, and then we're going to take our next video. So we've been asking, we've been talking to our own colleagues. And let's take our next video blog and listen to what they had to say on this one.
It's interesting. The media, we always taking the microphone and the cameras around, asking questions. And when it comes to the media fund, it's so interesting that the media, we are not asking questions about it. We are not getting the answers we want, and nobody is bold enough to say it as it is. From 2011, the year 2013 is almost ended. We haven't gotten any reason why. And if you are telling us today that you are meeting with stakeholders to talk about the disbursement, why should that be a problem? We haven't seen anything. So if we, the media, we're always asking the question, and now we have been given the promise, and we are not seeing anything, what more should we say? We need explanation. We need reasons to this. It's not just a matter of saying we are meeting. Who are the stakeholders you are meeting? Where have you gotten to? Which stage? We need explanation to this, because 2014 is just around the corner. The government should come up and tell us something better than just saying it's about disbursement. Why should it be so?
What I need from the fund is to be able to access it for capacity building. For example, where I sit now, I would wish that I have the opportunity to go to school, to read more, to be more experienced in managing, for example, my staff. But education is quite expensive in Ghana. So for me, if the fund is available and it's easily accessible, I would want to tap into it to get money to go to school. That is my first priority. But if I cannot, then maybe government could, or the stakeholders who are in charge of disbursement could also look at supporting media houses in rural areas, community-based radio and television stations. These are institutions which may not be privileged like Metro TV or Joy FM or Multi TV, where people rush with adverts. These are areas where people struggle to be able to get adverts or attract advertisement, and so are able to even raise money to pay staff. So at the end of the day, they are not able to employ very efficient or much more experienced reporters. So if some of the money is spread across some of these community-based radio and TV stations or media houses, in my opinion, it will help to strengthen their operations at that level, and together we can also disseminate information or sensitize people, and this will affect the development of the country in general.
I think the fund was instituted to build the capacity of the media, and so if anybody wanted to go to school, for instance, and they needed money for that, since it's to upgrade themselves, I think they could tap into such a fund to go to school to upgrade themselves, since it's for capacity building.
Welcome back. So the Media Foundation for West Africa, has been putting the blame squarely at the doorstep of we, the media. They're saying we're not championing our own cause. Whether we are or we are not, it begs to be seen. So we're asking, why aren't the media championing their own cause? Why aren't we championing our own cause? Let's take a listen.
We are championing our own cause, but then government has made a promise to us, to assist us. And it's not something bad. It is a good initiative, and so government needs to deliver on its promise.
I am fed up. I'm fed up because for the past 3 years we've been back and forth talking about who should be in charge of the money, who should be the agency for the disbursement, who must monitor, and all kinds of suspicions. Now, as we sit, 3 3 years down the line, the Information Ministry wants to be in charge. The National Media Commission is sitting there. Ghana Journalists Association has its own concern. The independent broadcasters have also been complaining. So it's a whole issue that we cannot see the head and tail. So I think that there's some suspicion somewhere. And if we are not ready to disburse it, look, government should announce and tell us that I am not ready to disburse it. Otherwise, if there's nothing to hide, it should just make the money available, set up a body which will just go and monitor how the money has been dispersed. And
so we are going to wrap up soon with Gerald Ankroyd here, and I'd like to ask, on the way forward, to let all this brouhaha go and die, and we'll all find peace and use the fund as it ought to be done. What is the way forward?
I think the best way forward is for the ministry or the minister to have a chat with the chairman of the National Media Commission, and this should be able to. They should be able to resolve these funny issues within a week, so that subsequent any funders, the reimbursement of the fund will then have a proper governance structure on it.
But who should be the ultimate manager of the fund?
I think when it comes to content and other issues pertaining to the media, I know most of us are most comfortable with the National Media Commission because of our independence sort of nature.
Gerald Ankra, thank you so much for talking to us. Yeah. And I'll take some comments now before Nana Bright joins me so we can wrap up. Bonti Benjamin says, how can you procure and donate something for the media without the consent of majority of them? I smell a rat in this issue. God save Ghana. Ishaq Abdulaziz, that is the better Ghana. More is coming. Godfred Babu, liars all over in our country. Isa says, from Wild West, they should pass through the necessary procedures and get such laptops. If not, the end will be in people's pockets. Thank you so much for all your comments that have come through. That's where we draw the curtains for today. Bright Handful is back, so we can wrap up together.
Right, and at exactly 8 o'clock, we'll be telling you that a lot more parents are seeking confirmation on the paternity or otherwise of their wards from the DNA Center at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Now, from an annual rate of about 150, the center is now handling almost 800 as of December 2013. Now, though this is good business for the center, there's a growing concern that the outcome of this test is leaving a trail of destruction with children having to bear the brunt. We'll tell you more about the story.
Also, to expecting news at 8, President John Mahama arrived in the country today from South Africa, where he joined thousands of mourners and other world leaders for the memorial service of Nelson Mandela.
And also the leadership of Parliament, led by the Speaker, has signed the Book of Condolence open for Nelson Mandela, the resident of the South African High Commissioner to Ghana.
And also, Managing Director of the Precious Minerals Marketing Company Limited, Ruben Damte, has called for greater investment in gold, noting the industry is still lucrative despite a sharp drop in prices.
Right, so join the team at 8 o'clock for all these and more. But coming up next is Joy News Exclusive. My name is Bright Nana Amfo.
And my name is Marian Ture. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.